Hello everyone and welcome back to round 2 of the BSB Championship on GPBikes. We're here today at Silverstone, the home of the British Grand Prix, and after a decent enough round 1 at Donington Park, we are coming here looking for maybe one better and seeing can we stick this beautiful Bear Monster Ducati V4 on the podium. Been a interesting championship so far. It's not one that's probably gone the way I expected because these bikes aren't the easiest to ride, as we've seen in round 1. A lot of big crashes for very fast guys, and there's been a few riders who were probably not had the pace that just managed to keep it rubber side down, get some good results. So it's very interesting. I feel like coming into a lot of these races this season, we're going to have probably a bit of a form guide, and then we get to the race, that book will be thrown straight out the window. So I'm happy to announce that I have fixed the audio, and in typical Dill 469 headquarters here, we have completely ruined it the other way. So now the audio was actually too quiet for my competitors' bikes, as we'll see throughout this race. Because of course, did I test it? Did I fuck? I just turned it down and then turned it back up and then turned it down again. So my bike is loud now and I can barely hear anyone else's bike, as you'll see in the race. But just thought I'd get that out there because I did make a big point of it in round 190 on Donington Park. But we're here now at the moment, we're down in P8, 1.7 off. And for whatever reason, this qualifying session just did not have anything underneath me, just could not feel it. Lap time wasn't there, tyres on hooking up. Just, I'm not too sure why exactly. Kind of felt again a bit similar to Donington Park so far this weekend, where it's a bit of a Groundhog Day, where just kept repeating the same mistakes I made in Donington, where wasn't sure what tyres to go on in qualifying. And into the penultimate couple of corners here, we are now on our best lap. We're still 1.7 off, though, down in P8, which is not great really, considering I felt like the pace of this V4 here at Silverstone was pretty decent. Very fast flowing track, does suit my natural high speed corner speed track, my riding style. And we're actually qualified P5, so we take a good chunk off on our final lap there. And again, 1 second off of the pole time, but I think we're only more importantly 0.3 off of my teammate Melina. So that was the kind of target really. If you've been closest to be as close as possible or be the fastest man on your bit of machinery, that is kind of the goal really, as I've always kind of thought to myself. But here now on the warm-up lap, just trying to get myself into the rhythm. Now, as this session was started, the laps were set to 16, and a lot of people, including myself, said basically that's impossible to reach the end, so it was shortened to 13 laps. Now, just like in Donington, we are starting with the weird headlight glitches. You can see there is no full start lights, we have the ones on track, which means we're going to have to do 14 laps, and that will be critical for later on. We get a decent enough start, not as good as in Donington Park at round 1, get a bit of a wheelie in the second phase after release the clutch, and through turn 1, thankfully it looks like most people bar that guy were through cleanly. A couple of guys as well I think got collected on the start, but up into Maggots Beckett's coming out, a bit of a slide there again, just a bike picked up quite nicely out of turn 1, and we nearly run into the back of Fox the Boxer, which is some lovely foreshadowing for what's about to happen. Triton, the league host, right on my tail here to start, and coming through the chapel section here for the first time. We are really eager to wind this Ducati up and just see what happens when you let it run, as we fly down the lovely straight up into the very, very fast right hander. We do go up the inside of N-Jerk and put ourselves up into P4, but unfortunately down into Vale, Hoover, the fastest guy I think really this weekend, absolutely lunges me and makes a beautiful move, and that was Triton once again. Unfortunately, he's having a bit of a mare this season so far. I believe that's the 3rd time he's taken someone out, and that's unfortunate really, because I think that's the 2nd time he's taken N-Jerk out, if memory is correct, to back to Donington. But yeah, that was really unfortunate. He just gets in way too hot again. He just I think start the race just gets a bit kind of ahead of himself and just pushed on maybe from a poor qualifying. But again, we're just starting to feel the big issue I'm having at this track is that it's such a high speed track. It's very, very hard to overtake. No matter how good or bad your bike is, it is quite difficult. You can see now as we go through the very slow and kind of flip-floppy section here at the back end of the track, the newer part, the worst part of the track really for me, bikes start to kind of pile up and push back and stuff. And obviously being on the V4, I expected to be very good on the straights as we come down the Hangar Straight and the Wellington Straight as they're known, but what I did notice is actually wasn't getting off the corners as well as other bikes, and that was Chase Black going wide there in Brooklands, and now through Luffield we do slide up into P3. So here we are now on board, and look at the corner speed of this R1. And yeah, that was the issue. So unfortunately, by the looks of it, I'm just not as fast through that corner as Fox, and he just took it normally. And yeah, as soon as I got hit, I knew I was going to be in trouble. And then of course we try and turn, and well, that happens. And yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare really, because We'd gotten a good start, gotten away clean. That's Endrug as well. Unfortunately, he was the one that rear-ended me when I respawned. I tried my best. You saw I looked behind and I just literally dumped the clutch and tried to ride away. But you see, at low speed with these bikes, it's very hard to get them out of the way. So apologies to Endrug, who's been taken out twice in the space of one lap. So the fastest man of the championship so far. Heavy driver in round 1 didn't have a great race there, and now here as well, not looking like he's having a good run. I believe that is Bunta, my factory colleague in the satellite team in the gravel there at Vale. So as we're pushing on now after being taken out, we're still on technically lap 1, even though this is the second lap of 14. You will see a couple of clips here now, just me basically going through the field, and because it's such a high speed track, as I mentioned previously, that a lot of people just overtakes are hard, people get them wrong, big mistakes can lead to drastic crashes, and it doesn't take much to make mistakes. So we are going to be gifted, thankfully, in the next couple of laps a few positions back after being taken out by the R1 Alf Fox. And you can see that is Alfon again. Unfortunately, just runs a bit wide coming out there. That really sacrifices run. He's still spinning it down the straight, and we just leave the brake off and get to the apex with form. And we're up to what looks to be P17, P16, P17 again, because the first lap is still ongoing, and so, you know, ending at the end of lap 2, it's kind of hard at this point. I really was kind of like in Donington, I was like, well, I don't really know where I am in this race. And again, there's another bike off, and I felt like my luck, the way it was going, I was going to get collected. You see, I have a quick look back. I believe that was an R1, not too sure exactly who it was, but we were lucky. And then we get to turn 1, another 2 Bukali in the gravel at turn 1, so I was quite happy to gain back another few positions. I was thinking, no, surely that'll probably put me back into the top 10, but if you look at the map on the right side there as we go through Maggots and Beckets, there is a lot of dots. Another 2 men off in the gravel at Maggots and Beckets, so that's 5 people in the space of this lap so far, and we're only now just going through Chapel onto the very long straight. And this is really where I could just open up my V4 and send it down the straight nice and fast and try and gain back some of my lap time. Focus on another lap there. I think that was another Honda, I believe. Again, when you're kind of going past at racing speed, it is actually quite hard to see who's who, but we are just picking off so many positions. Another yellow flag at turn 1, and as we get to it again, similar crash. There was a bit of a bump there at the apex of turn 1. You can just slide out, and I reckon that is what catches a few people out. So according now to our timing screen, the Max HUD, we're up to P10, so not too bad considering we were definitely down towards the lower teens, if not into the high 20s, after being taken out at the start and stuff. So now at this point I'm thinking, right, these are the first 2 guys I'm actually going to have to overtake with, say, a Honda and a Kawasaki head. So the Honda should be pretty slippery, and from everything I've ever done with a Kawasaki, I know it's not fast and straight line. You can see just at the end of the hanger straight there, we really start to pick up the slipstream, and that bike really just lurches onto the back of things. So I really felt this was good now for me. I was like, this is getting good, we're getting away with people. You see me there have one quick look over my shoulder on the way to Vale, and that is just because I've just noticed in P10 we're up to P9. So again, now the time screens have slightly adjusted, so apparently we've gained a position. That Bunta riding on the Oxford Products 2K, I couldn't think of the name there, is up into P10 now after a crash early in the race, and his pace is looking quite strong. We do get past the Honda there, and now we get behind what I believe is an Indonesian, and you will see how much I struggle to pass this guy over the next couple of laps. So he's a tad laggy. His inputs are very strange. You can see I need to touch carburetor because I'm kind of watching him, and I'm kind of thinking right now, so this guy, he's on a Kawasaki. Every time I've ever raced a Ducati on a Kawasaki, I got blitzed on the straights and I've had to override on the brakes to try and make up any time. So I'm kind of thinking, oh, I should be able to just V this corner off and power away. But as we come on out to the straight, don't really gain anything. I don't use a slipstream, just thought I'd have enough. He goes ever slightly deep in, but does get it back for a bit of a late apex. So I'm just trying to myself, right, probably have to wait to the hanger straight to really line this guy up if we can't get him into turn 1. One thing I noticed is my corner speed was the main thing I had over Wigamy, I believe his name is. Again, I do believe he's Indonesian, so again, through here, even I was gaining on him, which obviously we've seen we're apparently not the best through there according to some other guys. But I was just starting to, at this point now, to lose time, because if you just focus on his inputs, he's just slightly lagging left, right, kind of bouncing around. And when you're riding and you're pushing on, trying to do as fast of a race pace as possible, and someone in front of you is just doing that, you just hesitate just there again. I wanted to actually stick it up the inside in here the way he went through it. He's wide there again, so I'm thinking, great, this is perfect now. He's not going to be optimal through here. I'm going to get a nice little switch back here as I do open it up, bang, V4 power, We're going to go to the inside, or go to the outside should I say, as he defends the inside, and I'm past him. This move is done. There's no way that Kawasaki keeps with me, but somehow it doesn't. So maybe I'm just a bit of a fat bastard, and that's why the Kawasaki was always slow. Bunta flies past. I actually get slightly distracted, and I tried to release the brake and turn underneath the ZX-10. And unfortunately, I think there might have been a slight bit of contact, and then I go to the outside into the Vale, onto the grass, onto the curb, and we go a touch wide. There is someone just pulling out of the gravel as well, and we end up losing the position. So coming onto the hanger straight, I was like, job, Kawasaki is going to get minced, and now somehow we're behind Bunta and still behind the Kawasaki. So at this point in the race, I'm just getting a bit frustrated. I've been taken out. The pace has been decent. Again, wasn't sure if I'd made the right call with the tyres. I just came into this round thinking that I might just kind of trust what I practice on, but then in the practice session, the qualifying, I didn't very fast on it, so I was just trying overall just to see what I could get out of it. And I can't lie, at this point I then was starting to think to myself, I'm the slowest of the 3 Ducatis, and the wheels was kind of falling off the bus at this point of the race for me. So I was kind of interested to see how Bunta would deal with the Kawasaki, and unfortunately for me, he just picks the bike up, does exactly what I thought I would do a lap before, levels him before the brakes, and yeah, not too sure exactly if I'm on the right tyres for this race, because he just seemed to have so much more drive grip out of there. Now it could be setup, could be just talent as well. That is a thing at the moment I seem to be lacking, but Bunta just made that overtake look so mirror signal maneuver textbook really. I was at the time I was watching, I was a bit in awe of that overtake, because I was like, I just couldn't do that. I just didn't have the ability to do what he just did. So coming into turn 1 now, we're kind of getting midpoint of the race, and again I just mid-corner I want to roll through and keep my corner speed up as if I'm riding a 252 stroke, but Kawasaki in front just once again bouncing around, has a bit of a dance in front of me, lags. Again we go through Maggots and Beckett's a bit quicker. Again he just goes deep into the second part, so I can't do a move in here. So I'm thinking, right, I'm gonna have to just make sure we get off this corner once again and just be a bit braver into the corner. I don't think I'm under threat from behind. We get a good run through again, and unfortunately this time he has a bit of a slide in the curb, gets a massive wheelie. Not really sure why I go to the outside. I've watched this back a few times, but I do then realise myself and I switch to the inside, and this by now I can comfortably just level him. He brakes, he tries to hold around the outside, but unfortunately the Kawasaki just kind of trucks on, and that is us up into what is now P8 behind our other Ducati teammate and colleague, and down into Vale. Just pinched a small bit on the brakes just to make sure really that I hadn't got cut back. We jump now to lap 7. Our battle buddy from round 1, Luke Rock on the BMW, is up next. Finally, for some reason, he was on the BMW, which is very quick I think in the straight line, and we made him look quite slow there. He does lunge back at me pretty nicely, but I just kind of released brake once again and turned underneath him, which I did pretty similar at the start to his teammate. And again into Vale, just making sure brake just touched deep on this one, just sacrificed slightly on the entry just to make sure. And this time now we're kind of catching back up the Bunta, so the race is zigzagging back and forth, just kind of yin-yanging really. There's flows and ebbs and flow and everything in this race that really is out of my control, and I feel like that some laps I really feel on it, and then some laps I feel like I'm just being walked away from. And we've now caught up to Solux, who's a part-time rider, and he's sitting in P4, so it does show you don't always have to be the fastest man. If you can stay out of trouble, put in nice consistent clean race pace, you can overall pick up a good result, and that is at the moment what he is doing. And unfortunately, I think I've already just put the blinkers on him, because we tip into the final corner just as he touches the throttle. Rear lets go, and I have to just get off the brakes and pick the bike up slightly, and that is us up in now to P5. Now Triton, host of the championship, gets a massive run out of Maggots Beckett through Chapel, picks up lovely slipstream, but you see, as soon as he pulls out a slipstream, the Aprilia just hits a wall of mush as it just runs out of power against the Ducati. Unfortunately enough for me, he was at this point over a second lap fast. I have a quick look behind, and there's nothing doing. Into turn 1, the following lap, unfortunately Triton has another moment of madness. I'm not really sure what he's tried there, because he's so far back, he's never going for an overtake, unless Bunta was exceptionally slow, which throughout the whole race he was nowhere near slow at all in any part of the corner. But I'm not really sure what Triton tried there, but unfortunately took him down. And to make matters worse, a couple of corners later Triton ran out of fuel, so he wrecked poor Bunta's race, and then unfortunately DNF'd himself as he had no fuel to finish it. So really unfortunate for Bunta, after riding a sublime race after a crash earlier on, to get back to P4. He done a brilliant job aboard the Ducati. Definitely rolled cleaner than me, and had something a bit over me, which was a bit frustrating for me, but after you tip your hat when sometimes someone is just riding better. So again, final lap of the race here, lap 14 of 14, and also says 13, but with the start line it's an extra lap. And to be honest, just kind of rolling around. We have a nice gap, I think, back to Luke Rock on the FHO BMW, and we're just kind of taking it easy. Again, you have a quick look there, nothing doing. I can just kind of bring this home and it'll be 2 fourth positions. After the last corner, lap 1 incident, P4 again, not a bad result. We rode decently well. Kind of kept myself out of trouble for the most of this race and kind of got back to a decent finish. But as we come here, yellow flag, I presume at this point must be a lap rider, but no, it's more bad luck for my teammate. He is also after running out of fuel, so he will not score any points. So commiserations really to poor Gonzalo Molina, because pace today again was by far the fastest Ducati, only man really to be able to hold the lighter to the factory Honda rider Uber, because he really had just had some sublime pace around this Silverstone racetrack, and that promoted me to P3. And now we put the air brake on and flaps are down. We were really just backing this bike off as if it was a warmer block, because this by now I didn't want to make a silly mistake. Luke Rock is really closing in fast, but I'm just doing enough really to kind of make sure of it. I'm just taking off any risk. And you can see on the straight now, full taps wide open again just to maintain, because I know I'm still quick enough in most places where by the end of this lap he won't be able to catch me. But what a roller coaster of a race, from getting up into P3 on the opening lap to jumping down to probably the 20th position, maybe last, to actually finishing somewhere back on a podium. Was a real pleasure really to manage to get back like this, because it was such a hard fought race to end up this far off and then to come back and try and nearly get a podium, and then somehow on the last lap getting one. I was really happy. But yeah, it was like I said in round 1, it was the main goal to come into this championship was to get a podium, and that is exactly what we have done. So Uber absolutely dominant, wins the race. Foxer in 2nd, and I come home in P3. Luke Rock and Hendrick teammates 4th and 5th. They recovered to good positions. Bunta coming home in P6 after a terrible little incident there with a couple of laps to go. But with that result today, that actually puts us P3 in the championship, so we're actually in the top 3 somehow. I think it's safe to say a couple of the big guys really haven't got out of first gear yet, so the likes of Molina and Hendrick really have had some pretty bad luck in the first few rounds. So I'd say we're living a bit on the high life at the moment, but to be honest, I don't think the actual pace will be that good when we get into the later rounds. Like as mentioned in the video, when we get to like the Knock Hill and some of these sketchy tracks, I feel like this V4 is going to be a bit hot to handle. So we'll take P3 for now. Podium, we've got our first objective. Let's see what we can do in a week's time, and Assen for round 3. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Slán go fóill buachaillí.